When a young girl asks Johnny Depp for assistance, he reveals a secret skill that motivates millions of others. Tell us where you're viewing from in the comments section, and remember to like, share, and subscribe for more motivational tales. You can also help us reach 1,000 subscribers. In the summer of 2012, a little girl named Emily, who was only 7 years old, approached Johnny Depp on a crowded Los Angeles boardwalk, trembling nervously. She tugged on his sleeve, her wide blue eyes glistening with tears, and whispered, "Can you help me save my mom?" What started as a child's innocent plea would reveal a hidden talent in Johnny Depp that the world never knew existed and change millions of lives forever. Emily had seen him not as the world-famous Jack Sparrow, but rather as a kind stranger in her hour of need. Her mother, Lisa Carter, a single parent and struggling artist, had been diagnosed with a degenerative illness that left her unable to continue working or afford treatment. Emily, who was too young to completely understand the gravity of their problems but wise enough to realize she needed assistance, had seen Depp at a neighborhood charity function and recognized him from a movie poster her mother had kept for years on the wall of her tiny apartment. "I can't do this by myself." Johnny was immediately stunned as Emily confessed, her voice shaking as the words hung in the air. He then sat down, looked the young girl in the eye, and said, "I'll do whatever I can," promising to get deeply involved and starting with a small donation. A brief stop by the Carters' modest house to see how Lisa was doing, but he immediately learned of something remarkable. Lisa has been creating stunning portraits of ordinary life scenes that exuded unadulterated emotion even in her frail health. Johnny noticed an incomplete painting on the easel. It showed Emily sitting by a window with sunshine flowing through her hair and a look of both hope and sorrow on her face. "You painted this?" he questioned, amazed. Lisa gave a feeble nod. She remarked that her voice was faint, but life had other plans. "I used to fantasize of conducting gallery shows." Though he was known for his acting, Johnny had always experimented with music and poetry as outlets for his own struggles. Inspired by Lisa's bravery and Emily's unwavering determination, he started writing a ballad that told their story. Johnny felt something stir inside him that went beyond words. It wasn't just compassion. It was a calling to help preserve Lisa's art and share it with the world. He had no idea that this song, composed in the solitude of his law home, would become the hymn of hope for a great number of people. The tale took off like wildfire. Depp's admirers and art lovers from all around the world came together to plan charity concerts using Johnny's recently discovered musical talent and auctions of Lisa's paintings. Unaware of the initial outpouring of goodwill that her straightforward request had sparked, Emily watched as her mother's paintings started to exhibit in galleries, strangers wrote letters, and his music played on radios, all of which echoed their tale of hope and resiliency. However, as the momentum increased, so did the difficulties. Even as her dreams seemed to come true around her, Lisa's health started to deteriorate even more. Meanwhile, Johnny, who was now deeply invested in Carter's journey, found himself wondering how far he could go to fulfill his promise to Emily. As she clung to him like a lifeline, calling him her guardian angel, Johnny was powerless to stop it, but wondered if fate had brought him here for a reason. One evening, while Emily was sleeping curled up on the couch with a used teddy bear, Lisa finally confided in a trembling voice, "I had all these dreams, but life took a different turn." Now, she paused, her frail hands trembling, and gestured toward Emily. "All I want is for her to have a chance I never did." For a while, Johnny sat in silence as the words sank into Lisa. He said in a quiet but determined tone, "Emily already has all she needs because she has you, and most people never experience that love and strength. However, you are not alone anymore, and I assure you that as Lisa's condition worsens, we will make sure she has the future she deserves." By making arrangements for her to see specialists and making sure Emily always had someone to turn to, Johnny strengthened their relationship and made it more like that of a father and daughter. During his visits, Emily would frequently climb into his lap and grip his hand firmly, fearing that he might vanish like so many others in her life. "Do you think my mom will recover?" One evening, she said in a voice barely audible above a whisper, and Johnny fought back tears as he said, "I don't know, kiddo," but he was honest when he said, "But no matter what happens, she loves you more than anything, and I'll always be here for you." Meanwhile, Lisa's paintings started to gain popularity, and a big Los Angeles gallery held a presentation with her paintings and Johnny's brand new song, Canvas of Hope. People from all over the world wrote letters expressing how Lisa's art and Johnny's music had given them hope during their darkest moments. However, as the days turned into weeks, Lisa's condition took a tragic turn, and she grew weaker, spending more time in bed. One night, Emily climbed into bed next to her, clutching one of Lee's smaller paintings, a watercolor of a sunrise. The event was a huge success, raising enough money to cover Lisa's treatments as well as to secure Emily's future. Mom Emily spoke quietly, her eyes welling with tears. "I pledged to look after you, so I don't want you to leave." Lisa used all of her strength to pull Emily close to her, saying in a whisper, "You've already taken care of me in ways you'll never understand. You gave me a reason to keep going, and one day you'll grow up and make this world brighter." The night Lisa died was one of unspeakable anguish, and Johnny stood silently in the doorway, watching the heartbreaking event play out. He felt helpless and knew he couldn't save Lisa no matter how hard he tried, but he knew he had to be strong for Emily. Johnny hugged Emily tightly as she sobbed onto his chest. Even in the midst of sorrow, there was a glimmer of something else: love, resiliency, and the hope of a better tomorrow, while whispering consoling words since he hardly believed himself. A few months later, Emily was there at the New York City opening of a brand new art exhibit including her mother's beloved paintings on the walls. As they looked at a painting called A Mother's Love, Emily, who was still grieving, found strength in her mother's legacy and the steadfast support of the men who had become her family. Johnny stood next to her, his hand resting protectively on her shoulder. The world now knew Lisa's name, her talent, and her story. "Do you believe Emily is proud of me?" She turned to Johnny. Even though the gallery was a hive of admiration for Lisa's work, Johnny knew that their journey was far from over. He was committed to helping Emily find her own voice in the world and to preserving Lisa's dream, and in doing so, they both started to heal piece by piece, creating an endless canvas of hope as the years went by. Together, they transformed Lisa's legacy into a movement. Emily G. developed into a remarkable young woman who carried her mother's spirit and creativity in everything she did. Johnny was there for her not only as a mentor or guardian but also as the person she could always rely on when the grief of her loss became too much to handle. Through galleries, auctions, and Johnny's ongoing support, the Hope Foundation was established to help struggling artists and single parents who faced similar difficulties as Lisa. At every event, Emily was the star, speaking confidently and quietly about her mother's story and her own journey of perseverance. But behind closed doors, she still missed Lisa a lot. On one particularly tearful night, when Johnny discovered her curled up on the couch looking through old pictures, Emily would sit by her bedroom window, clutching the teddy bear she had had since childhood, staring at the stars, and whispering to her mother that she could somehow hear her. When Emily finally broke down, she cried and shook her voice, saying, "It's unfair that she never got to see this and never got to see what her paintings did." Johnny sat next to her and put an arm around her shoulder. His voice was firm but gentle as he answered, "Emily, she sees every single bit of it and she's proud of you every day. She's the reason you're so strong and brave. You carry her with you in every step you take." "Do you really think so?" "I don't think so," Johnny said. Emily leaned into him, finding comfort in his words. "I understand that as time passed, Emily started to discover her own artistic abilities, motivated by her mother's passion for painting. Although her style differed from Lisa's in that it was bold and abstract, Emily's work felt like a continuation of her mother's narrative in every way. By the time she was 18, Johnny, who had always been her strongest supporter, had ensured that her artwork was displayed in galleries. Even though Emily consistently acknowledged her mother as her greatest inspiration, her art was receiving recognition on its own merit. Among her most talked about works when questioned about it in interviews, Guardian Angel portrayed a little child holding the hand of an anonymous individual standing beneath the starry sky. On the 10th anniversary of Lisa's death, Emily would knowingly smile and say, "It's about the people who show up when you need them the most." When Emily stood on stage to speak, her voice faltered. "I never imagined my mom's story would go this far." She started looking around the room, but it's proof that even in the most difficult times, love can create something beautiful. "My mom taught me that, and when she saw Johnny in the front row, She paused and looked at him with tears in his eyes. Johnny and Emily organized a special event, a dual exhibit showcasing Lisa's work alongside Emily's. The turnout was overwhelming, with thousands of people sharing stories of how the Carters' journey had impacted their lives. Without Johnny, I wouldn't be standing here today. The room erupted in applause, but Johnny was too choked up and overcome with pride and love for the young woman Emily had become. After the event, the two of them walked outside into the cool evening air. Johnny taught me that family isn't just who you're born to, but who shows up for you. Emily tipped her head back and stared up at the sky. Do you think she was watching Johnny? He gave her a steady but emotional voice. Emily wasn't just watching, youngster, she was right here. In that moment under the endless night sky, their story felt less like an ending and more like a beginning that was still waiting to be painted. Emily grinned broadly as they stood there in the silence, realizing that although the pain of loss would never completely go away, the love her mother had left behind and the family she had found in Johnny were more than enough to carry her forward.